Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we have a major update on the top WWE stars' future. We've got the latest on Cody Rhodes after that injury scare on SmackDown. From there, we've got Kenny Omega pouring the praise all over Roman Reigns. And for the last story, you're not going to believe this, but Darby Allin has been involved in a pretty nasty accident because it's Darby Allin and these things just kind of happen to him. I'm Andy, this is the news. Bit of a weird setup today, I acknowledge that, but hey, it's a bit of a weird day, so here we go. Let's kick this one off by talking about the major WWE star. Big update on their future. Who am I talking about? It's Drew McIntyre. What is the update? He has signed a WWE contract extension. This was broken, I guess it was broken by The Rock on Instagram. Taking on Fightful Select here with the scoops is Dwayne Johnson, apparently. But yeah, he posted a big Instagram update of a sword claymore being presented to Drew McIntyre by a third party. The Rock wasn't there himself. But he had this caption as well, man of my word, as you're a man of yours, congratulations Drew McIntyre on signing your new WWE deal. As we talked about after your WrestleMania match, I know this Scottish claymore represents everything that you, your family and your country embody. Alba Gu Brath. Look, I'm Scottish, I've never learned how to say that properly. I'm sorry. As you know, I wanted to personally hand deliver this gift to you at your meeting with Nick Khan, but I had warm cheat meals and chilled tequila waiting for me. That's where Dwayne's priorities lie. Shame on you, final boss. Congratulations again, brother, and cheers to the hunger, passion, climbing the mountain that always entertains our fans. So this has been confirmed by Fightful Select. They say that WWE finally reached out to Drew about extending his contract in March. There was a bit of back and forth, but eventually McIntyre was happy with the outcome, and it's a big money multi-year deal. PW Insider also have an update on this, stating that the contract was signed 2 to 3 days ago. It's for 3 years, according to their sources. Drew's not going to be on TV for a while. He is nursing a hyperextended elbow. I don't know how you hyperextend your elbow, maybe doing that. But he'd been working through that injury on the UK tour recently, and that had earned a bunch of praise from his peers for doing that. So there you go. Drew McIntyre has extended with WWE. That explains why I guess he's been advertised by Clash at the Castle. He's not even on, he wasn't even going to be on the company's books by that point in June, but now he is, and it's all settled. So I think this always looked like the most likely outcome, at least over the past 6 months or so. When those reports of Drew's contract expiring came about, and it was a case of Drew wants good creative if he's going to stick around. He wasn't exactly hitting home runs on WWE TV. Not his fault, but due to the quality of the output that was coming his way. That has since completely reversed, and he's been one of the best things on TV for several months now. He's obviously refound himself in this new heel character where he's just trolling dudes on social media all day, every day, be it Sheamus or CM Punk or whoever. He's got a Sheamus feud seemingly lined up. He's got a CM Punk feud coming. Clash at the Castle's going to happen. He might win the world title in his home country. His actual homeland, not when they pretended he was from Wales in 2022. No shade on Wales, but Drew's from Ayrshire. So yeah, he's got a lot of good things in the works. His creative has been really strong. I'm not surprised by this at all. Would it have been cool to see him go elsewhere? Yeah, I mean, it always is. It always is cool to see someone leave a company they've been with for ages and try their luck in a completely different environment. But this is clearly the best place for him and where he's at in his career. I'd love to see him in a G1. Yeah, sure. But, this is good too. This is really good too. I personally am really looking forward to Drew and Punk. I think it could be one of the programs of the year, but let us know in the comment section what you think. Should he have stayed? Would you have liked to see him go somewhere else? Are you looking forward to the Punk match, the Sheamus match, all of that stuff? Should he win the world title in Scotland? The correct answer is yes. If you say no, I'll just quietly disagree with you because we're allowed to do that. Right, we've got an update on Cody Rhodes. There was a bit of an injury scare regarding him coming out of SmackDown. He had that match with Carmelo Hayes, and it was feared that coming out of it, Cody, after attempting a Cody cutter, had maybe hurt his shoulder, which he landed on. Do you remember that spot? It's gone nuts on socials a little bit, where they both kind of spring off the ropes and they miss each other in the middle of the ring, and it looked like they just mistimed like an attempted Cody cutter midair, whatever. It came from that spot. Now Fightful asked around if Cody was okay following the match, hoping to get an update. Apparently, Cody answered always. Which doesn't, thanks Code Man, that doesn't really help a lot. So this isn't necessarily confirmation that he isn't hurt, but he's always okay. I guess he's like Matt Cardona, he's always ready, whatever. Yeah, it was a bit of a worrying spot, particularly given that you've just coronated this guy as the undisputed Universal Champion. He's the face of the company, he's the top babyface in the entire company. He's the guy who SmackDown is going to be built around for the foreseeable future. It would be a bit of a bummer if he was hurt. But as of right now, there's no indication that that's actually the case, at least going by this. He's okay, apparently, according to Cody himself. So we'll see if anything more comes of this. The draft, of course, ongoing on WWE TV at the moment. The first round picks came through on Friday. There'll be more on Raw tomorrow. And then I believe the rosters lock at the end of next week. So maybe there'll be some people floating around until then. We'll find out. We'll see. Let's see how this whole thing plays out, I guess. Right, let's talk about Kenny Omega. He's been on Twitch again. He loves twitching. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's been streaming again, and one of the things he spoke about on his recent stream was Roman Reigns. And he shot on him. He disrespected the tribal chief. He didn't. It was the total opposite. He was really kind and respectful. So I'll just read you the quote. Kenny talking about Roman here. I'm not going to accept Roman Reigns slander in this chat. I think he's incredible. I don't think he's boring either. I would actually say that I'm pretty jealous because Roman Reigns is presented in the exact same way I would love to be presented. He's presented as the man who is the champion to have big matches at the pay-per-views where you're either really cheering for him or you're cheering for someone else. That's professional wrestling. He's getting to do what I did in New Japan, so I can't be a hater on that. I'm a fan. So put this in the news video today because it's just, number one, Kenny's Twitch streams are really refreshing. It's nice hearing him speak so just openly and candidly and clearly about professional wrestling in general. I don't get any kind of pretense. I never get the impression that Kenny's working a gimmick, which you can't say about most people in this situation. Last week, he was like, hey, I was crap at being an EVP. You shouldn't have the job or whatever. It's just a breath of fresh air across the board. And it's also nice to hear him just throwing some praise on the other company, a guy from the other company, an icon of the other company. Kenny's AEW, Roman's WWE, in this stupid hyper-tribalistic era where you have to pretend that liking one wrestling company and hating another one is part of your identity, and you'll go to war if someone says even the most minor of criticisms. I actually think it really helps when people from opposite sides praise each other, because at the end of the day, what do they care, right? Unless they're super logged into all this online tribal stuff, they're just trying to make a living, and they've probably got loads of friends on both sides of the divide, if you want to call it that. So more of this. I'd love to see more AEW and WWE people just going, hey, that thing the other company did was really cool, because I think it would pour a lot of cold water on the online nonsense. Probably doesn't vibe with what WWE's PR team wants you to do, and it probably doesn't vibe with what Tony Khan wants you to do either. But me, personally, I would like to see that. And look, a bit of praise back and forth. It's a good thing across the board. And, you know, you can think Kenny Omega's great, and you can think Roman Reigns is great too. It's totally fine. Don't worry. No one's going to tell your parents or whatever. You're good. You're good. Darby Allin, he's not so good at the moment, this poor bugger. Yeah, he got hit by a bus. Darby Allin got hit by a bus. That's the story. None of you are surprised, but gee whiz. He posted this to Instagram with his face all busted up. Here's the caption. That awkward moment when you're crossing the street in New York with a broken foot and get hit by a bus. At least I can have a good time with Raymond Pettibone and catch a Broadway show, lol. That's what he wrote. So Darby's been out of action since Big Business. That was in March. Of course, he suffered a broken foot wrestling Jay White on that show, which also prevented him from climbing Mount Everest. Darby Allin lives a hell of a life. He's since been hit by a bus. There was a picture doing the rounds, I think it was last week, of him with the broken nose, and people were like, what the hell's he done now? Well, he's a bus. He's been bussed. Was it the bus driver's fault? Was it Darby Allin's fault? It doesn't really matter. Just kind of hope he's doing okay. I mean, physically, he obviously puts himself through a lot in the ring, but, you know, a broken foot is a total freak accident, and this was probably a freak accident as well. So, you know, not necessarily connected, but the universe does have a way of hurting Darby Allin and his body. I don't really know what else to say about this. It's Darby Allin. Things like this occur. They just occur. But best wishes to him in his recovery. Looking forward to seeing him wrestle again soon because he's one of the best in the world. There you go. Right, we'll move on to today's Twitter questions. Thank you to everyone who sent them across. I did the thread last night. Lots of good stuff in there, but I've picked 3 for the video here. First one comes from Mark, who would like to know, with the Bloodline staying on SmackDown and Jay staying put on Raw, where do you see the storyline going in the coming months? My thinking is the new Bloodline with a returning Roman will be built over on Raw for the 2 groups to clash at War Games. Yeah, I think that's the direction they're going to go. I think obviously Jimmy withdrew from the draft pool because he's injured, but I think we'll see Jimmy go to Raw eventually. I think that will facilitate an Usos reunion, which I do think is best for both of them. Jay is super over as a babyface, but neither of them are particularly accomplished singles wrestlers unless they're wrestling Gunther, as we saw with Jay a few months ago. So I think they're better together. I think it makes storyline sense. You can come up with a reason for Jay to forgive Jimmy and all of that. It's not hard. It's pro wrestling. You can write whatever the heck you want. Meanwhile, over on SmackDown, you've got Solo Sikoa, you've got Tama Tonga, you've got Jacob Fatu coming in. That's 3 dudes. Over on Raw, you can have Jimmy, Jay, and Roman. Obviously, you have a nice little 3-on-3 there. If you're going into War Games, you obviously need a little bit more than that. You can bring in Sami Zayn on the Raw side. Why not? He's been, probably have to say, him and Roman are going to have to say sorry to each other a few times, but you can do that. You can get there. That'll be one hell of a reunion. You could throw Kevin Owens in that team as well. Again, sorry, dude. But if you want like a 5-on-5, I don't really know how to pad out the team on SmackDown anymore, unless you're going to bring The Rock back in before WrestleMania, but I don't necessarily see that happening. So that'll be interesting to see, but I do think the skeleton of this is correct. I think that's how it'll pan out. Jimmy goes to Raw, Roman ends up reuniting with the Usos, and they have a big fight with the other guys down on SmackDown, Solo, Tama, and Jacob, whenever the heck he debuts. Our next question comes from X, formerly... No, that's X is the website, Andy. Jesus. PT Pasta would like to know the top 3 things you would do immediately if you were given the keys to AEW today. All right, this is an interesting question because AEW is wild at the moment. Tony Khan is... he's going insane. Number 1, I would turn Mercedes heel against Willow. Look, everyone knows how highly I view Mercedes as a performer. I think she's one of the best. She's one of my favorites. This current run is not working. It's not getting over. And it's not resonating the way AEW had intended. Now, this is hampered by her inability to wrestle at the moment. She's not cleared. But the overly scripted promos and the stunted delivery of them in this role where she just comes down, says a bunch of catchphrases, tries to be a babyface against the most likable babyface in the entire division, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. The only thing that makes sense about this storyline is that, yes, Mercedes hurt her ankle while wrestling Willow and they should wrestle again. The core character stuff is kind of whack. So I'd have Mercedes turn heel. Willow is the purest babyface, maybe in the entire company, actually, and I would play with that dynamic. Evil heel Mercedes, flashy heel Mercedes against Willow. It'd be great. Chris Statlander's probably going to be revealed as the person who turned Mercedes, which makes a heel turn quite difficult. But that's what I would do. I think it would immediately rectify the story. I think it would land a lot better. It would feel a lot more natural. We just got to get rid of these overly scripted promos because they're pretty horrible, and I'm kind of tired of watching them. Number 2, I would deliver more episode-ending cliffhangers like we had this week. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I want them to be of the ilk of this week when Tony Khan got attacked or whatever. They should only ever do that once in their history, and they've done it now, so, let's move on. Keep it in the storyline, but let's not do that again. But one thing that Dynamite and Collision don't really do a massively great job of every week is giving you these big cliffhangers at the end of the episode that go, oh my god, I need to see what happens next. The show will either end on a really cool angle, or just a good main event or whatever, and it'll be great and satisfying and everything else, but there's not always this big thing at the end of the show that makes you go, geez, if I miss this next week, I am a complete moron, even if the show is really great, which it often is. So I would focus on doing that. I think it would be a nice change to their storytelling methods, and AEW does tell stories despite the dumbest online argument of all time. But yeah, more cliffhangers. I think it would do them the world of good. And for number 3, I would assign someone in the company to continuity, someone on the creative team one of the writers, one of the producers, whoever, but their job would be continuity and nothing else, right? Making sure everything is followed up on, making sure that all the loose ends are tied up, and making sure that nobody ever goes missing in the middle of the storyline, or storylines just don't go missing for 3 weeks and then come back in, and it's like, hey, I forgot all about this. What's it doing back? That's a failing of the process, I think. Like, stuff just kind of ends sometimes, and people just kind of go missing. If there was somebody with a degree of authority on that writing team who's going, whoa, we need something for, I don't know, Willow's not been on the show for 3 weeks. What's going on? Why did she go missing? What happened to her story? Let's pull it back in. I think that would help AEW a great deal. Bit more continuity. That should be someone's job, in my opinion. And our final question comes from Slayer W, who asks, do you think Kenny Omega comes back this week to open arms until the Elite turn on him? And down the road, should Omega and Hangman confront them? Who comes with them? So yeah, I think Kenny's on TV this week in Winnipeg on Dynamite. Jack Perry should punch him in the gut. Straight up. Look, if Kenny can take the work shot, obviously. I'm not advocating for a hurt man to get even more hurt, you animals. But if Kenny's up for it and doctors allow it, if Jack can throw a little fake punch because it's wrestling into that gut, that would be tremendous. That'd be a tremendous piece of continuity like I'm talking about here, and it'd be another really good cliffhanger. I think they should do it. They're on Kenny's home soil. It'd be greatly sympathetic towards Kenny. The babyface, he's already been thrown out of the Elite. At the bare minimum, they should do something where the Elite are a complete dick to him. As regards to Hangman, he's going to come back as a heel at some point, I think, to continue his feud with Swerve. However, you could absolutely bring him into this storyline. And if you're going to end up doing some kind of Elite versus AEW, like Blood and Guts, maybe, I don't know. He'd be a good person to throw on the AEW side. There's lots of really good options. Kenny, of course. But yeah, I think you're on the money with this, but Jack Perry should punch him in the gut this week if Kenny can do it, if it's okay, if he's not totally hurt. But hey, thank you for joining me for this incredibly weird news video today. I promise it won't happen again. It might happen again. I'll see you later. If you enjoyed this video, check out the one that's like probably about here on the screen. You're gonna love that one too. Bye.